I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime, and this is Currents.
Changes are coming. Bishop Caggiano tells us how the church is renewing the mission.
Young people in Queens light candles and ignite their faith.
I feel the love of God so deeply every time I come to this.
And Haiti is still recovering. Brooklyns Mocha Moms are lending a helping hand.
I still need help, even though it's been a long time since it actually happened.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You know, the Brooklyn Diocese has made no secret of the fact that it faces an annual budget deficit of almost $8 million. They've also made no secret of the fact that churches will close as a result.
This is true, but before that happens, the diocese is taking a good look at itself in an effort called Renewing the Mission. And joining us now to talk about that is Brooklyn Auxiliary Bishop Frank Caggiano. Thank you so much for being with us here on Currents today. Renewing the Mission, tell people a little bit about what it's about if they don't know, because this is a process we've had, sort of ongoing for a while, and now it's beefing up.
Sure. The process has a twofold strategy. On one hand, the bishop is asking us to look at some immediate challenges that parishes and schools are facing, some institutional challenges that we need to address. But there is a much more fundamental mission that the bishop is calling everyone to address, and that is the renewal of the life of the diocese. It is really a call for a re-evangelization, the new evangelization, and a deepening conversion and spiritual life for everyone. So while we do the immediate issues, we want to look at the long-term goal.
Sure.
So how do we stand now? How has it been going so far?
Well, the process is just beginning. Only in the last 3 or 4 weeks have we really begun to engage local leaders.
Right.
In fact, this past Sunday, many of the parishes published their data reports. Now there's the time for digestion, to really reflect on what the data is saying. And there are some key lay leaders in every parish that come together now who are going to be leading assemblies and answering a very, very important questionnaire, which goes beyond numbers to the real underlying factors and trends. The hope is by May, every parish would have a self-study that will kind of give a picture of what is, what will be, and what could be for the future.
Well, this obviously affects a lot of parishioners. What are people in the pews? What are they reacting to about this?
I think you have every reaction that you could conceive of. Some people are in wonderment. Some people are very fearful. There's a great deal of anxiety because there is an uncertainty. We're not exactly certain what the end product will be and how much institutional or structural change we're going to need. So this is a journey. We're going to have to walk it together, and we have to support each other in the process.
Well, as we move forward here now, a lot of people might be a little skeptical, as you alluded to. They might say, well, they've already decided, what parishes are going to close and what parishes are going to stay open, that kind of thing. There is some skepticism out there. And what would you say to people who are skeptical about the process?
Well, it's understandable that there's skepticism, because in something so complicated and in something so important, the natural tendency is to think, well, you've already thought it through, you have your answer. But the truth of the matter is we don't have the famous list of parishes that may close, because we have not yet looked at the entire picture in a systematic way. And I could give you a very brief example of what I mean.
Sure.
Every parish will do a self-study. It will look at the factors affecting its own life. But there are some global issues that affect all parishes that some group, in this case the Planning Commission, will have to take a look at. Clergy numbers and the availability of priests in the future, 5, 10, 20 years, has an impact on every parish that each parish itself would not be able to gauge. And we haven't done that study yet. So the skepticism is reasonable, perhaps it's understandable, but the truth of the matter is we have to walk this together.
Right, and this isn't the first diocese that has had to face these issues. Have you heard from others that have had any words of wisdom?
Many dioceses have gone through this, particularly in the Northeast, because the Great Migration has been from the Northeast to the South. So in the South, dioceses are growing dramatically. In fact, Bishop Barbarito, a native of Brooklyn, who is now the ordinary of Palm Beach, is inaugurating a brand new parish in the next week or so because of the migration.
Sure.
Right.
But what we've learned in those processes and dioceses where they've been consultative and collaborative, even though it's a lot of work, and it really is a lot of work, even for parishes, leadership, it's asking a lot, they have been more successful. Those that have come in kind of from on high, that has not worked as well.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, of course, we'll talk to you more about this coming up in tomorrow's show and some other things going on in the diocese as well. Before we wrap things up here, though, I wanted to ask you just your reaction. Of course, this is a historic time in the country because of the health care bill that was just passed. And no matter what side you might be on in the debate, no one is claiming that it's not an historic moment, at least. What's your reaction, Bishop, to the health care bill being passed?
I have two reactions. First, the fact that it is historic is undeniable. And on some level, as a nation, it reassures us of the fact that when we do have a moment of decision, we can still make a decision. The particulars of the bill, though, some still concern me. They concern all the bishops. They concern the church in general. Our stance is we need to be able to support life from conception to natural death. And therefore, this health bill affects that whole spectrum of life. And to the extent that that bill is consonant with church teaching, then it's great. To the extent that there are portions that are not, we would have to work to reverse those portions to make sure that whatever we do is in the mind of Jesus. So we made a step forward, but on some level, we still have more work to do, in my estimation.
All right.
Very nice insight. We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thanks, Bishop. We appreciate it. And of course, we'll have more from Bishop Caggiano tomorrow, as I just mentioned. But stay tuned. We have more of today's edition of Currents coming up straight ahead.
When we return, the day's headlines, including President Obama signing historic health care reform. But the public debate continues.
Welcome back to Currents. I'm Matt McClure.
And I'm Francesca Maxime. Coming up just a bit later, a local youth group is changing lives. We'll show you how they're doing it in Queens.
But first, let's take a look at the day's headlines. The health care reform bill passed by the House on Sunday is now the law of the land. President Barack Obama put pen to paper today, signing the sweeping legislation into law in the East Room of the White House. The room was filled with lawmakers and health care reform supporters who wanted to witness the historic event. Work is not yet done, though. The Senate still has to take up a reconciliation bill with amendments to the law that the House also passed on Sunday. Meantime, a pro-life Catholic lawmaker is defending his yes vote on the bill. Democratic Congressman Bart Stupak of Michigan said last night on CNN's Larry King Live that he is satisfied with President Obama's pledge to sign an executive order stating no federal dollars can be used to pay for abortions. Stupak also chided his critics who say an executive order isn't enough.
Why is it worth the paper it's written on when it's George Bush who signs it on stem cell research, but now President Obama signs it, suddenly it's not worth anything? No. Executive order has the full force of law, and embryonic stem cell research was a great one. Right to Life applauded it. The Catholic bishops welcomed it. They thought it was great. Now President Obama does the same thing on the same principle.
Well, the U.S. Bishops' Conference released a statement on the legislation today. The bishops say the bill is profoundly flawed and that there is more work to be done. They're also calling on Congress and people in the Catholic community to make sure that the overhaul will not expand abortion in the U.S. Well, abortion is just one issue that is causing division among the faithful and among lawmakers on Capitol Hill. CNN's Ed Henry takes a look now at the emotional response to the bill coming from both sides of the aisle.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker.
The noise was deafening, passions running high.
Have you read the bill? Have you read the reconciliation bill? Have you read the manager's amendment? Hell no, you haven't.
But were the charges on both sides true? Keeping them honest, in a word, no. The most questionable claim nearly brought down the final health bill. Republican charges the plan would force taxpayers to pay for abortions.
Can you go home and tell your constituents with confidence that this bill respects the sanctity of all human life and that it won't allow for taxpayer funding of abortions for the first time in 30 years? No, you cannot.
Actually, White House officials say they can point to something that knocks this down. Section 1303B1B of the bill, which says, quote, abortions for which public funding is prohibited. The second questionable claim this weekend came from a familiar face, conservative icon Sarah Palin. Over the weekend, she tweeted shocking new questions: whether military health care plans are protected under Obamacare, how will underpaid troops afford their own purchase. Actually, the bill stipulates that most military medical care is not affected by the new law, but a drafting error left some doubt. The language was tweaked to fix it, so Palin's charge, like her false claim about death panels, has now evaporated. And then there was the old standby.
The overwhelming number of people in Minnesota's 6th Congressional District want nothing to do with this government takeover of health care.
Government takeover of health care. The legislation actually builds on the current system, which is why the president's senior advisor David Axelrod told me it's a recycled false claim.
I think that some of the arguments you heard yesterday were really tinny, if not bewildering, because they didn't bear any resemblance to the program that was being voted on.
But the president also made at least one statement that's highly questionable, as he cited the Congressional Budget Office's projection that the bill will reduce the deficit by $1.2 trillion 20 years from now.
This is paid for and will not add a dime to the deficit or reduce the deficit.
But in fact, the CBO noted, quote, the imprecision of that calculation reflects the even greater degree of uncertainty in long-term predictions. The president may have other problems beyond just cost. CNN has learned there was a late-night Oval Office meeting between the president and some key senators going over strategy to make sure the chamber can push through that fix-it bill. While top aides here say they're still confident the Senate can finish the job, there's a little bit of nervousness about the potential hurdles ahead.
That is CNN's Ed Henry reporting from the White House.
While the Catholic Church is reeling from growing clergy sex abuse scandals in Europe, a new report shows the number of clergy sex abuse claims in this country is actually on the decline. The U.S. Bishops' Conference says the number of allegations of abuse, offending clergy, and abuse victims all fell in 2009 to the lowest level since data began being collected in 2004. The amount of money being paid by dioceses to victims also fell sharply last year. The 2009 total was $104 million compared to $376 million a year earlier. And finally, there has been plenty of criticism from victims of clergy sex abuse about Pope Benedict's pastoral letter to the Irish Church about abuse in that country. There is support, however, coming from a government leader who has had a tumultuous relationship with the church. Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi says the Pope's letter is remarkably efficient for its sincerity and for the sound reasoning of the Pope. You may recall that last year Berlusconi and Italian church leaders exchanged barbs in the press.
Well, stay tuned. There's much more currents coming up.
When we return, Mocha Moms. Who are they and what are they doing to help Haiti?
Everybody can come together to make things happen for these Haitian people who have gone through a catastrophic thing that happened to them.
Welcome back. Well, the devastating earthquake that hit Haiti on January 12th continues to take its toll. 230,000 dead and 1.3 million homeless. Just yesterday, former Presidents Bill Clinton and George W. Bush visited the island nation. The two were tasked by President Obama to lead fundraising efforts to rebuild the country.
And closer to home here in Brooklyn, a group of women came together to do their part to help. Mocha Moms found a couple of reputable organizations whose efforts they wanted to support, and last weekend held a fun fundraiser to help buy needed goods for earthquake survivors, especially women and children in Haiti. Gorgeous sunshine and even warmer smiles grace Brooklyn's Fort Greene neighborhood as local stay-at-home mother support group Mocha Moms held a springtime fundraiser to help Haitian earthquake victims. Haitians in New York making up the 7th largest immigrant group, the majority living in Brooklyn.
I'm here to, support the cause. I have a 2-year-old daughter myself, and we live in the neighborhood, so, we try to support positive things in the neighborhood.
A few months ago, there was a huge earthquake that destroyed houses, killing people's lives and taking people's lives and destroying homes. Well, it made me feel really sad that the earthquake was happening in such a poor country.
People could come with their families. We'd have a celebration, but at the same time gather things for organizations such as Haitian Women for Haitian Refugees, as well as Partners in Health. Two organizations that we found have been very instrumental and helpful so far in Haiti.
The event, held at popular South African Madiba restaurant, included a raffle featuring kids' clothing, a rocking horse, an iPod, and African-American figurines, as well as impromptu entertainment. Some of the money raised here today will go toward the very basic essentials that families in Haiti need: toothpaste, toothbrushes, deodorant, soap, antibacterial medication, sanitary napkins for women. These are the things that here we take for granted every day, but they are in need in Haiti. While the event was organized by Mocha Moms, some Mocha dads also came out to give their support.
We have a significant Haitian population. I have a lot of great friends that are Haitian. And but one thing I love about the community of Fort Greene is its diversity. And I think that is where everybody can come together on a central theme, a very important theme, and make things happen for these Haitian people who've gone through a catastrophic thing that happened to them, you know?
It makes me feel good, and it makes me feel good that people care enough to get involved and that people aren't just sort of sitting by passively. And I feel like the Brooklyn community definitely has a lot of influence and enough people to make a difference.
This event raised over $700, and while the earthquake happened months ago on January 12th, supporters say Haiti still needs us.
Because they still need help, even though it's been a long time since it actually happened.
He was so cute in person, too. Well, the group Haitian Women for Haitian Refugees and LACU New York and Movement of Dominican Haitian Women, I didn't know that there were other Haitian Dominican women out there like me, and Italian, throw that one in there too, but I guess there are, which is great. Well, they were organizing an immediate delivery of first aid relief, and to learn more about Mocha Moms and the groups that they're supporting, those two that I just mentioned, in their effort to help Haiti, head to our blog, Riding the Wave, where I've posted some more information, and Partners in Health is also one of those organizations that they're helping.
Good, yeah, great that they're out there doing that. Definitely a need still there, obviously. With things happening in Chile, and the news cycle constantly changes. And the top story on everybody's newscast was Haiti for so long. Well, now other things have overtaken that.
Sure.
But while other things might have overtaken that, you can't forget about Haiti, and that there's still a need there, and there's going to be a need there. There was a need there before the earthquake, but there's going to be a need there for a long time because of the earthquake as well.
And I think that's why President Obama tasked former Presidents Clinton and Bush to go over there to help spearhead these fundraising efforts, because when you're looking at the kind of leadership and strategic planning that they bring to the table in terms of rebuilding, not just raising money, but in terms of sort of thinking about the long-term consequences, there's a lot at stake there, and obviously Haitians don't want to be caught up in the wrong mix, and hopefully our two former presidents will obviously have their best interests at heart of the country, and help with the funding, but also with the strategic planning there as well.
And of course our prayers and our thoughts are still with the Haitian people now as well, as they continue to dig out and rebuild.
This is true. One other quick note about Mocha Moms I just wanted to mention too. They're a great local organization, and while they started as a stay-at-home moms group, they also are now open to women who work that have kids as well. So if you are a mom out there, go ahead and go to our blog, like I said before.
Expanding the ranks.
It's true.
Well, there's more currents ahead. Stay with us.
Just ahead, it's changed people's lives. A popular youth program comes to Queens.
You're never alone in life. You always have to depend on somebody, and for me, that person is God.
Well, what happens when you bring together dozens of young people for a weekend of prayer? Well, you're about to see.
It's called Youth 2000. We visited some of their prayer festivals in the past, you might remember that, but a couple of weeks ago, along with the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, they hosted another one in Queens.
And we wanted to leave you this night with some of the sights and sounds of that remarkable gathering.
And I think you want somebody else to be on fire with Jesus, right? Yeah, so why don't you light somebody's world? Because I know some of you are saying, Jesus, you lit my world tonight.
There's a need to reach out to them in a very special way. They have a lot of spiritual needs and a lot of spiritual questions, and they do need that input that a retreat can give, to give them a sense of the desire for change and for transformation that comes through prayer and a renewed commitment to their faith.
We want the young people to find out how much God really loves them and to realize that their faith is really, there's so much richness in their own faith, and that they'll celebrate it after this, and they'll find the joy in God's love for them.
You know, a whole lot of beautiful faces. It's the beauty of God. You're made in His image and likeness. It's the beauty of God shining in you.
It's Jesus in the Eucharist. It's totally Him. You know, there's music the kids enjoy, but it's Jesus. He overpowers their hearts. It's especially the Saturday night. It's a Eucharistic healing procession. Jesus comes encounter to each kid, and there's nothing that could take that experience away from them.
Oh, I'm overjoyed. Not even excitement. I'm surpassed. It's so many people sharing, praying together. It's uber excitement. I don't know what else to say.
This is my second time at Youth 2000, and it just gets better each time. We just had the Holy Hour on Saturday night, and most beautiful part of the retreat experience. I feel the love of God so deeply every time I come to this. It's like He reaches out to you in a special way.
This is not an experience that you do every weekend. It's not like going to a party or going bowling or something. It's something very different. Like, you learn stuff, you learn from other people, you meet new people, and you learn about God, which is the main part of your life, you know? Like, you have to see, He's basically in everybody's life, and is always there for us.
You're never alone in life. You always have to depend on somebody, and for me, that person is God. He's #1 in my life. He keeps me going. Every time I fall, He brings me back up. Every time I have a problem, I pray, I go to Him, and I seek solutions from Him.
Because you are the fire of Christ in this world. Remember, it's not a time to talk. It's a time to praise. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? Oh, see how great is our God. How great is our God?
It was sort of meditative there, just listening to the music, the candlelight, you know,
Right.
very peaceful.
It's a nice environment that's set there with that. And, you know, it's nice to see a group of kids coming together with a common purpose like that, you know. And this is a group, as we've mentioned before, that we've profiled before, and that we see constantly the kids that are a part of this, and the young adults, I should say too, that are part of this, are really very, very dedicated to their faith, and to, you know, making their life revolve around that, and helping others in the process.
Yeah, certainly, and helping one another in the process.
Right.
You know, I think that they go there to find the living God within themselves and within each other, and to connect with His presence, you know, overall. But it's that sense of communion, I think, that gives them, you know, their friends that they can relate to, or new friends that they're making, that also gives them a little bit more strength in their solidarity.
Yeah. And it was nice to see Angela Scanapieco in the piece as
Yes,
well.
yes.
The consecrated virgin who was Lino Ruli's date one time.
This is true. I remember that. I know Lino walked away empty-handed of sorts, but you know, that's all right.
He generally does in those situations.
Yeah.
Don't come after me, Lino. I'm just kidding. All right. Well, that's it for tonight's edition of Current Stuff. Coming up tomorrow, more of our interview with Bishop Caggiano. Plus, we join a first-of-its-kind pilgrimage on an exotic island. Manhattan.
You won't find any toucans there. Well, you might in a pet shop. I don't know. Meantime, remember, you can watch us online at currentsny.net, and you can follow us on Twitter, and you can even become a fan on Facebook. Until next time, I'm Francesca Maxime.
You never know what you're going to find in Central Park either.
Yes,
I'm
true.
Matt McClure. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night.